The Whispers in the Woods. In the heart of a sprawling, ancient woodland, where sunlight dappled through a thick canopy of oak and beech leaves, lived a lively community of frogs. They spent their days leaping from one broad lily pad to another in the cool, clear pond, their croaks joining the gentle hum of the forest. Among them were two friends, Pip and Patch, who were known for their adventurous spirits. Pip was a sturdy frog with bright, curious eyes, always eager for the next escapade. Patch, a little smaller and of a more sensitive nature, trusted Pip implicitly and followed him wherever he went. One bright morning, a spirit of exploration took hold of the frog community. "Let's explore the whispering woods beyond the great willow," announced a particularly boisterous frog. A ripple of excitement went through the group, and soon a long, hopping line of frogs was making its way into the less trodden parts of the forest. Pip and Patch, thrilled by the prospect of a new adventure, hopped along with gusto. The woods grew denser here, the familiar sense of damp earth and sweet blossoms mingling with the mysterious aroma of pine and unknown flowers. They were so engrossed in the new sights and sounds that they didn't notice a deep, shadowed cleft in the earth, hidden beneath a carpet of fallen leaves, until it was too late. With a startled croak, Pip and Patch tumbled head over heels into the darkness. They landed with a soft thud on the damp soil at the bottom of a pit. It was much deeper than they had imagined, its steep, slick walls rising high above them to a small circle of daylight. Panic began to set in for Patch, his heart thumping against his ribs. Soon, the faces of the other frogs appeared at the edge of the pit, peering down at them. "Goodness me!" one of them exclaimed, his voice echoing in the confined space. "Look how deep that is! They'll never get out of there." Another frog, older and considered wise, shook his head gravely. "It's no use," he croaked solemnly. "The walls are too steep and slippery. They're as good as gone." Down in the pit, Patch heard every word. A cold sense of dread washed over him, extinguishing the small flame of hope that had just begun to flicker. But Pip, who had been deaf since he was a tadpole, saw only the concerned faces of his friends. He couldn't hear their words of despair. He only saw their mouths moving and interpreted their gathering as a sign of support. "Don't worry, Patch," chirped Pip, his voice full of confidence. "They've all come to cheer us on. Let's give it our best jump." With a powerful thrust of his legs, Pip launched himself upwards, his toes scrabbling for a hold on the damp earth. He slid back down, landing with a splash in a muddy puddle. The frogs above let out a collective sigh.
"Stop trying, Pip," one of them shouted. "You're only making it worse." Patch heard this, and his spirits sank even lower. He looked at the towering walls and the small patch of sky so far away, and the words of the other frogs echoed in his mind. They are as good as gone. Pip, however, saw the frog waving its limbs and thought it was a gesture of encouragement. He grinned at Patch. "See, they're telling us to try again, but with more power." Pip crouched low, gathered all his strength and leapt again, this time managing to get a little higher before sliding back down. Patch, meanwhile, made a half-hearted attempt. He jumped, but his legs felt heavy, weighed down by the negativity from above. He barely left the ground. "It's no use, Pip," he murmured, his voice trembling. "They're right. We can't get out." The frogs above continued their chorus of discouragement. "Just give up," they yelled. "It's a hopeless situation. Don't prolong your suffering." Each word was like a heavy stone pressing down on Patch's spirit. He looked at Pip, who was still jumping with tireless determination, and felt a pang of despair. He couldn't understand how his friend could keep going. Exhausted and heartbroken, Patch lay down on the cold floor of the pit and with a final shuddering sigh gave up. He closed his eyes and moved no more. Pip, noticing that Patch had stopped jumping, felt a surge of worry. He looked up at the crowd and saw them gesturing more frantically. To his deaf ears, their shouts of "just die" were lost. He interpreted their animated movements as a sign that he was getting closer, that they were urging him to give it one last mighty effort for both of them. A new wave of determination washed over Pip. He would not let his friend down. He took a deep breath, bent his powerful legs, and sprang upwards with every ounce of strength he possessed. He flew higher than ever before, his toes finding a small, gnarled root protruding from the wall. With a desperate scramble, he clawed his way over the edge and collapsed, panting, on the soft grass. The other frogs stared at him in stunned silence. Finally, the old wise frog, who had first pronounced their doom, found his voice. "Did you not hear us?" he asked, his tone a mixture of disbelief and awe. "We were telling you to stop, that it was impossible." Pip, who could read the movement of their lips, looked at them with wide, uncomprehending eyes. "Hear you?" he croaked, his voice hoarse with effort. "I am deaf. I thought you were all cheering for me, encouraging me to jump higher and harder. Your support is what gave me the strength to make it out." A profound silence fell upon the group of frogs as the weight of Pip's words settled upon them. They looked from the triumphant, exhausted Pip to the dark, silent pit where Patch still lay, a victim not of the fall, but of their own words.